It's Tuesday morning. It's about 9:30, 10 o'clock, somewhere around there. And guess what I'm doing? And my best buddy here. They're going for a compressor only. So I have to take the used reciprocating compressor that I installed in July. I think it was. I had to take that out. I got to put this in. So what I wanted to do is put this in last July. This unit's got a new fan motor in it, and the condensing. The unit's not bad shape, and it's got copper coil in it, copper tubing. So we're just putting the compressor in, and that's what I have to get started on now. Okay, first thing, got to get all the gas out of the system. So what I'm doing is got my reclaimer hooked up. You see we got gas in the system still. And I'm removing all the refrigerant. And it's going into this tank here. And I've got my air conditioner set up right there behind it. But I'm gonna end up turning the reclaimer so the air blows in. It helps condense the gas a little bit faster. But this is step one, getting the gas out. Okay, the reeds in this compressor broke, and what I'm guessing happened is the owner, he had just gone to New York for a few days, and I think what happened was one of the employees cranked the temperature control, the thermostat, down too cold, trying to get the store ice cold, and what happened was obviously the evaporator coil ices up when you do that. The unit's supposed to run for a period of time. Any frost that builds up on it, once it shuts off after a few minutes running, the frost melts away. And then the unit comes back on again after so many minutes, and it cycles like that. So you build up a little frost, you let it melt. But if you crank it all the way cold, it just stays running all the time. So what I'm going to do is I got a freeze protection. It's a little clip-on device, and I'd like to put this inside by the evaporator coil and wire it to the thermostat wire, to the yellow wire through it. And then what that'll do is cycle the compressor off. And if the coil is freezing up, this will turn the compressor off, leave the blower on, and it'll automatically defrost it. And then once this warms up, this little thermocouple warms up, it'll come back on. The other thing that happened was initially the condenser fan motor went bad, and that was back in May. And they turned the air conditioner on, let it run for a couple days, and it just didn't get cold. They didn't know why. I came here, and the condenser fan motor, the old motor, had burnt out, was bound up. And the compressor was just running and hot as firecracker. And this Goodman, they saved money by not putting any controls on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a low pressure control in case it loses the gas. We won't lose the compressor. I'm going to put a high pressure control on there. And I'm just going to put it right on my fittings. And then what I'll do is wire that into the contactor coil. One of these red wires here. I'll take it off and I'll run it through it and come back to the other terminal. Pretty basic. Okay, I'm changing the oil on my vacuum pump. I just drained it out and put new oil in. out of here, Spider. At least we don't have snakes around here. I'll be able to reuse this. Okay, you got it. Can't lean on it now. Can't move it. Let's see. Nitrogen come didn't go all the way. I'll get it in. There's the brazing materials there. Once I heat it up, it'll melt, and I'll push it in. This is nitrogen. And the freon in the lines and the air is in the lines. If I heat it up, it'll see how that corroded like that. It'll corrode in there, a lot of soot, and it'll plug up the soot. So the trick is to blow nitrogen through there, and the soot won't happen. So you're gonna be an air conditioning guy.
No, not professional.
Yeah, you are.
We're just trying to learn, like, if something broke, like we can.
I know.
So I can see what's going on, what could be wrong.
Just be careful if you ever mess around. The electrical stuff is pretty dangerous. You can get killed by it.
I know.
So if you see me doing something, don't try to do it, yourself, because you can get killed.
I know.
It's dangerous. I short things out all the time, and I know what I'm doing. You got to be careful. I was working on one unit just recently, and I turned the power off, but it was still powered through another source, and I thought the control was off, and I shorted it out. Luckily, I didn't grab it. You never know who wires the stuff. So. plastic burning. It's a case. How hot did it get over the weekend?
Yeah, I was not here first thing. You know, I left to New York on Friday.
Friday.
Then I left, then they keep calling me.
You know what I think happened? This is my professional, run into the situation a lot. The valve plate was broken. The reeds were broken in the valve plate. And that's caused by liquid coming back to the compressor. Liquid comes back to the compressor when the coil, blower coil, ices up. The Freon gas leaves here as a liquid, goes there, has to turn into a gas and come back as a gas. When you have ice on the coil, the Freon stays liquid. It doesn't come back as a gas. There's only room in the compressor designed for gas only, not liquid and gas. And that's called slugging. And what caused the coil to ice up, I think, and I've seen this a lot of times, and it's a good possibility, I can't say for sure, but usually an employee will want it.
They drop the temperature.
They turn the temperature colder. That's what usually happens.
But I have told you, like, we have water leaking from there all the time.
Yeah.
I will show you after we finish here.
It's still leaking?
Yeah, still leaking. We have to
From where? The air
in the coil.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well that's normal because
it's not like it drops. It's like
that's good. What that is the humidity that's in all the water that's in the air is condensing into the
why
liquid.
it's not coming from here then?
Well, it's probably plugged up. You get mold in there. I'll blow it out with CO2 pressure. Yeah. And it's just all it is. But it's a good sign when you have a lot of water coming out of an air conditioner. It's a very good sign. It should be coming out here though. Right now, all this humidity is causing. If you don't run the air conditioner enough, you don't get the humidity out of the air, that water goes into the frozen food cases and ices up. And like the freezer you have in Vermilion, those build up ice, a lot of ice this time of year. It's very common for me to go in and have to defrost one of those cases because of all the humidity right now. I'll just be able to grab it. Well, that was pretty easy piping it in,
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have to get copper tubing out of my truck and bend it, and it was already pretty simple. Breeze is stronger than the copper tubing is.
Hold there with the pliers?
No. I'll heat that up and I'll tap it. lucky this. They had it right in Avon, the compressor.
Yeah.
So that was good. I've got several supply houses around here, 3 of them, different ones. And their main headquarters are usually in Cleveland, so what they don't have here, usually have to get it out of Cleveland. Okay, that was my customer, TJ. Nice guy. It's, a lot of people make fun of people from other countries. I kind of respect them because they came from the other side of the world, and that would be hard for me to do. But he's a nice guy. He pays his bill fine. He's you know, pretty decent person. And if you think of it, at one time or another, our grandparents or great grandparents, they all came from other countries. So you know, it'd be hard to go from the other side of the world and, you know, start a business and earn a living. But okay, I'm changing the dryer filter now. And this, I soldered this one on back in July, I believe it was, and I used Stay Bright on this. I use Stay Bright number 8 all the time. It's 8% silver, and I use yellow flux, and I usually put it on components that I have to take out. I expect to take out at some time or other. And here's a very good example. This has only been in a couple of months, since July. It's the beginning of September, so it's under 2 months now. And I'm gonna replace it. That was easy. Okay, the arrow has to go toward the expansion device, away from the condensing unit. See how that was easy. That's why I use the Stay Bright. I'll do that on an expansion valve where you don't want to put too much heat into it. A dryer filter, a vibrator eliminator. I'll use solder. Doing that a long time. They came out with Stay Bright back in the 70s, and I've been using it since then. Okay, now what I want to do is put on my control here. Another thing straight up in here. The hot gas discharge line. Leak lock on it. Little Teflon tape on it. This is the high pressure cutout. If the condenser fan stops working or the pressure just for some reason gets way too high, this will shut the compressor off. The compressor contactor, it's where I'm going to wire this through. It's a safety device is what it is. Non-adjustable. I saw one fella use this as a fan control on a air refrigeration unit, a head pressure fan control, and it worked when it was hot, but when the pressures outside were lower, the fan was going on, off, on, off, on, off. And that didn't work. Now what I want to do Alright, I'm pulling a vacuum on it and we're getting it down. It's been running a while now. I let it run a little bit longer. What I do is I hooked up my two vacuum micron gauges on here because I wanted to see how accurate they were. I'm going to put a low pressure switch on one and just a service fitting on the other one. But I'm getting different readings on it. One's at 440 and the other's at 525, so that's like 60, 70, 80, 85 microns different or so, something like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wash them out with denatured alcohol. The one on the left is the newer one. The one on the right is the older one. But I'm going to run it to 500 microns on the right. That way I'll know for sure. I got a good vacuum on it. I'm sure the vacuum's fine right now. It's most likely this this one over here is most likely the correct one, and I believe that's what it is because this is a newer gauge. But I'm just going to run a little bit longer, and I'll be. What I also did was I put in the head pressure switch here, and down below I put the freeze stat in, and in a few minutes when I get the gauge up, I'm going to put the low pressure switch on the right side over there. And fundamentally, it's very simple to wire. This is my thermostat wires coming in, and I'm going to run the thermostat wire to the first control, out of the first control to the second control, out of the second control to the third control, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to connect it on where this wire was, so that way the three controls are in the control circuit now. If the condenser fan quits, the head pressure will rise, and I believe it trips off at, this control trips off at 350 head pressure, and that'll shut the compressor off. If the system's low on gas, this control will shut off at, it opens at 25 pounds pressure. So if it's out of gas, or even if it's iced up, it'll probably trip off. And a freeze stat, of course, that trips off pretty low too. Now I just have to charge it up. Maybe a few more minutes. I've got 19 degrees difference between the air temperature and the air coming out. Okay, I'm reading 22 degrees difference. That's pretty okay. My suction pressure is high, but it's 100 degrees in there, so I'm just gonna have to wait. Evaporator's 42. That's about right. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna blow the condenser out just to make sure it's clean, so I can get my head pressure down. Head pressure is 256. Okay, I'm pretty much done for today. Let's see where we're at here. I've got a 22 degree temperature difference between the air temperature, which is 90, and the air coming out, 21, 22 degrees. So that's pretty good. Let me move this. Let's see this here. Okay. My suction line kept condensation on it. I'm pretty happy about that. My liquid line is a little bit warmer than the outside air. So I believe it's 101 degrees, so it's a little warmer than the ambient. The suction line is 61, 63. The suction pressure is 79. Discharge is 275. Using 407C. I got a 50-degree evaporator. 50-degree evaporator, and that's 45 is what we're shooting at, but it's very hot in there right now. My superheat's 11 and subcooling's 11. So I'm pretty happy with everything. I just have to take my gauges off. I have to go inside and check the unit. Got to pick up my air conditioner. That's kept me cool all day today. Been here since 9 this morning, and it's 2:48, 3 o'clock. Got 6 hours in. It took a little time to vacuum it, and it took a little time to balance the charge, you know, so it looks good. It looks good. I reclaimed the refrigerant, put it all back in. Didn't have to add any gas. But I have to say goodbye to my best buddy now. Hopefully until next summer. So, goodbye, old buddy.